Hello and welcome to the Tennis Podcast live from Wimbledon, presented by Barclays, the official banking partner of Wimbledon. This is our official Wimbledon. How many times can I say Wimbledon? This is our official Wimbledon hype show, our final preview before things get going in 15 hours' time out there on the grass courts behind us. To help us get hyped, senior Wimbledon staff have plied us with alcohol. I shall name no names, but we are very grateful indeed. We have been led astray. And cheers to Wimbledon 2026, everyone.
Cheers, team.
We have a lot to talk about today. We're also going to be joined a little later in the show by Wimbledon Tournament Director Jamie Baker. We booked him in for that interview weeks ago, and you know we always wanted to speak to Jamie because he's always very good value, and he's a real straight shooter and a great speaker. But given the protests and all of that, there's quite a lot to get into with him. So he'll be joining us in about half an hour's time. Who knows how many centre court coolers will have drunk by that point. So do stay tuned to find out. We had quite a lot of significant media day activity today, even though it wasn't officially media day, because of course Serena came in not on official media day. She doesn't want to come in with the riffraff. She wants to come in sandwiched between Jack Draper and, well, actually I'm not sure there was anyone before Jack Draper. She wants to be the starter to the Jack Draper main course, apparently.
Or maybe
is that anything?
I think he was dessert.
Right, okay, yes. There was no starter. Straight into main course.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. Maybe a little aperitif, straight into main course.
Maybe
Jack
one of
Draper
these.
dessert. Okay. Should have workshopped that little analogy before we went live. Anyway, here we are. There we were at 2:30 this afternoon. An entirely full room, a room that had been full for about half an hour of people wanting to get good seats in anticipation of, I mean, the most, in terms of a scheduled press conference. I know we had that Yannick Sinner one in Paris where there was the stampede to get to the room once he was announced. But in terms of sort of ones you had so much build up to in anticipation of, this was like as event as they come, really, David.
Yeah, particularly here. I think, as you said, that was an incredible one with Yannick Sinner a few weeks back. But yes, this was an event. This was people coming to see Serena again for the first time in a long, long time here, 4 years. And she's more than tennis. And I think there were people in the room there that aren't here for the tennis necessarily. They were here because it's Serena Williams. And she was, 15, 20 minutes late? It was fine. We knew that was likely to happen. And I mean, what struck me the moment she walked in is just how relaxed she seems. She just wasn't fussed at all by any. I mean, she was just owning it. She's choreographing every move here, just with her aura, I believe. And she knows how to be a star. And yeah, it was interesting. It was. I don't know how revealing it was because I don't know what I'm listening to, really. I don't know how honest she's being.
Exactly. It all depends how much you take it at face value.
Yeah.
Right? If you take it at face value, we learned quite a lot. If you take it at face value, we learned that, well, this is how I interpreted it. We learned that the single biggest reason she decided to play singles was FOMO. Like she said, there's not many people that would have a Wimbledon wildcard held for them. And I just thought that's too good an opportunity to pass up. Like, I need to do it. I was expecting her to say, when asked directly, what made you go, yes, I'm going to do this? Because she had already said earlier in the press conference that she had a deadline of Monday to decide, and she decided on Sunday. And she said, I left it to them because I wasn't sure. And then she said, I'm still not sure. So then she was, asked a follow-up question about that later on. What made you sure, or what made you as sure as you were ever going to be? And yeah, she said that kind of like, well, it's now or never. I better give it a go, or I'll never know what I was missing out on. But I don't know. I thought she might say, because I was playing so damn well. and I'm Serena Williams and I'm hitting it incredibly in practice. And it was definitely a pressure reliever, certainly, in terms of what to expect from her.
Yeah, and she said her expectations this time are obviously different to the first time in her career. She said, I expect to be nervous. She was asked directly by Simon Briggs about that, and she was pretty honest, I think. She said, but I was always nervous, and then I would get out there and dust them off. And there were little...
Her nerves, not
Yes.
the opponents. I mean, also the opponents. But I think she was talking about nerves.
Yeah. And there were little zingers like that, weren't there? That, yes,
Yeah.
she was... I did feel like she was playing down expectations and talking about it as this last-minute thing and how she still isn't sure. But there were little reminders of, I'm still Serena Williams, There was the line about... It was the question I had my hand up to ask, but it got asked, what do you know about my joint? And she was like, well, I'm sure she knows my game. It was such a great line. Such a great line. And then in answer to your question, Catherine, about what Miriam Draper had said, she gave a sort of classic Serena line to that as well, I thought.
Yeah, I told her that Miriam Draper had said yesterday that she was watching the draw behind her eyes, hoping that her name wouldn't come out with Serena's, and she said nobody wanted to play Serena. I said, how does it feel to know that you're still that person, for the rest of the tour? And she was like, not surprising.
She said, respectfully, it's not surprising.
Yeah, it's great. And she's right, isn't it? And then she'd said earlier in the press conference, she'd listed Miriam Draper as one of the players that she most likes and admires. It was Arina Sabalenka, Miriam Draper and Coco Gauff. She said there were lots, and it does sound like she's watched a fair bit of tennis, but she had singled out Miriam Draper, so told her that, and she said she gave that kind of funny, and she said, obviously, I have this reputation, and I've got it for a reason. But then she also said, but I also am a total unknown. There's this element of the opponent has no idea what to expect from me. And she said, no matter who that is, that's a nightmare. It's a nightmare playing somebody. I mean, yes, you can go on YouTube and watch videos of Serena Williams, but there'll be a version of Serena Williams that is very different, I would assume, to the one that we're going to see on Tuesday. That is kind of a nightmare. It is another nightmare, David, for my joint.
Yeah, because I wonder how you play it if you're her. If you're looking at old videos of Serena Williams at her very best, do you think I need to come out firing and try to, hit big and live with this? Or do you try not to overplay and just be solid?
What would you tell her to do?
Be solid. And hope that she's not what she used to be.
Try to get her moving?
Well,
work
yes,
the angles?
Just make sure you don't miss. Make sure you don't beat yourself. Play the ball, not the superstar, all-time great down the other end, and keep the thing in the court. Hopefully she misses lots. That'd be basically what I was saying.
I feel like Matt's watched the most Maya joint out of all of us. Not recently, since you dropped her like a hot potato, obviously, Matt. But generally, is that her?
From the backhand,
yeah,
she dropped her from.
Yeah, look, I think she's very capable of being solid from the baseline. Like, she's got good technique. She can play on a grass court. I think Alex de Minaur said it best yesterday. It's all about the start. I think it's pivotal. If joint can get to 2-all, 3-all, maybe even go up a break, I think she'll settle. But there's a scenario where joint just freezes at the start, very understandably, and then it's hard to get it back, and then you go on court with a plan, but it's running away from you, and suddenly you can't play the way that you want to play. But I tend to agree. I think she's got to realise the biggest thing in her favour here is the age gap, right? That is an advantage for her, and use your legs and try and extend points and not be you don't want to be totally passive, but I think you've got to be trying to get Serena moving as much as you can, test that early. Yeah, it's going to be a compelling watch for sure.
I do worry about how much of my tennis analysis is you've got to start well. Like, it's not very sophisticated as tennis analytics go, but it is so important, isn't it? Particularly in matches with an unequal dynamic, I think. So yeah, it feels about as important as it ever is in this match.
Whenever you watch anybody play Jannik Sinner or Novak Djokovic, you think you've got to try to win the first set.
Yeah.
Or play their first Grand Slam final in a best of 3 against someone who's had a lot more experience. We've had a few of those recently, one-sided ones.
Okay, we still have tomorrow to preview joint against Serena. Let's not burn all of our material. We've burned a lot, but I'm sure there's still more to come. Let's move on to the dessert. Jack Draper followed Serena into the main press conference room. I'm committing to the analogy, David.
It's okay.
To the metaphor.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. So Jack Draper. We haven't seen a lot of Jack Draper recently, and it's just a real reminder of what a breath of fresh air he is as a talker. There's no filter on him, as we well know. There was some real textbook Jack Draper answers in there. One in particular that he gave about it was Charlie, actually, Eccleshare of The Athletic, who's working on a big piece, I assume, about Serena and what it's like being in the Maya joint position in those sorts of matches. And he asked Jack Draper about playing Djokovic here in 2021 when he would have been 19, something like that, 18, 19. His first Grand Slam match it was. And Draper gave this incredible answer about how he was so hyped up for that match that he realised midway through it that he'd actually been playing it in his mind for 24 hours. He said, the night before I was listening to the Gladiator theme tune, and I was playing the match in my mind. And he was like, I burned all my energy on that.
I did all my grips the day before, he said.
It's amazing insight. And it's sort of a level of vulnerability that he's prepared to show that not many of them are, I suppose. And it kind of still takes me aback a bit.
I think he likes going into press conferences and seeing the media. I can't think of too many players who are that convivial and generally friendly with us as media. It's not just us. He's just such a polite lad, and he's gone through such a horrible time with injury and the way he talked about how a year ago he came in here and he was just so high on his career and he was 4 in the world and just felt brilliant. He ended up disappointed last year. He lost to Marin Cilic early and he really didn't look like a grass court player at all, and he was scathing about his own play that day at the time. But what he wouldn't give to be able to have what he had then, that's what he's looking for, is just a healthy body and a chance to make a run at it. That's all he wants. And he spoke glowingly once again about having Andy Murray. I think it's such a comfort to him to just have him there.
It's a good word.
Aside from the things he might learn, and he did say he hasn't gone deep into Murray's experiences on his own, really. Although I wonder whether that might change if he moves through the rounds at some of these bigger tournaments. But it's just, that Murray's there for him. Murray's not there for publicity. He's not there for money. He's there for him. And he loves coaching. He loves the game. But I think it's such a soothing presence for Draper, who is prone to anxiety and needs to keep loose. I think he needs to play loose. I think that'll help shield him a bit from injury. But I also think it might unleash his potential. But maybe not yet.
Yeah, look, the draw is such a problem here with sort of analysing Jack Draper and how he might be, because he's got Taylor Fritz in round 1, and also there is just so much recent evidence of us getting excited and encouraged by things Jack Draper has said in good faith, and then he's had an immediate setback. So I don't trust his body. I'm not sure he trusts his body, but there were reasons to be a bit encouraged in there. I asked him about his service motion. You'd picked up on that he changed his service motion when he first came back, sort of around Indian Wells time, just before Indian Wells of this year. He changed from a platform stance to a pinpoint stance. So he'd stopped...
Other way around.
Why do they both have to begin with P?
He's always been a pinpoint server, and he changed to a platform.
So he used to sort of drag the foot, start with the feet apart, and then he moved to one where his feet were just always together. And now he's
planted, but apart.
But not moving.
Not moving. Yeah.
I've explained this terribly. Thank goodness for Matt Roberts. So he's gone back to what he had originally.
I'm so proud of you for asking about his service motion.
Thank you.
She nailed the question.
Also we could have this excellent moment on the pod. And he said, that's absolutely what's happened. I've gone back to my old service motion. And he said, I changed it because I couldn't do it with my arm the way it was. Basically, it was too much load on my arm. He said the changed motion stopped the ball from being too far in front on the toss, and that protected my arm a little bit. And he said it did compromise the effectiveness on the serve. Not hugely, the numbers weren't massively down, but this is a game of fine margins. And he's basically said, I feel confident enough in my arm. Well, two things. He said changing the motion protected my arm but messed up my knee. And he also said, I do now feel confident enough in my arm to go back to what I had before. So look, it might be crumbs off the table, but I
was really encouraged by that. I was really encouraged by that.
Good.
I think that, he clearly wants to serve with his motion that he's had most of his career, the pinpoint one, dragging the foot. And if he feels in a place now where he can do that with his arm, it's the arm I'm most worried about. I know that generally Jack Draper's body has broken down in various places over the last few years, and we just have physical concerns generally. But it's the arm that was the really long-term problem that kept him out for a long time. If he feels in a place now where that's improved, that he can go back to his original service motion, I do think that is encouraging. And I also think he's likely to serve better and generally want that in his arsenal. So I was encouraged by that.
You weren't in the Jack Draper press conference because it was at the same time as the Amanda Anisimova press conference. Matt had been sitting next to me, and I turned and started a conversation with him, and he was just gone.
Like Caroline Garcia in a Grand Slam
he was
draw.
Just gone. And I looked at the screen and realised Amanda Anisimova was in press, and that is, of course, where he was. And he came back, David, buoyant.
Oh.
I wasn't I?
Tell us more.
I just thought it was an encouraging press conference. There was kind of three things I really wanted to learn from Anisimova. The first being the wrist and how that is, and she was adamant that she's practicing and playing at full intensity now, and that is totally behind her. So all good there. The second is the coaching situation and whether she's still working with Sebastian Sachs, and she said yes, absolutely. So she's enjoying that partnership.
Which you were then able to confirm to another journalist that came. Journalists are now coming to Matt for information about Amanda Anisimova.
Correspondence.
And he said, it's just a relief not to be the Kuzmova guy anymore.
There was a French Open when Kuzmova played
Joe Conter,
when a lot of the Brits were coming up to me and asking for Kuzmova facts. And I was like, well, I actually don't have that many.
but more than everybody else, yeah.
Yeah, so that was encouraging. The third thing I think most interesting is that after Queens, Anisimova went back to Florida, and
we all panicked, didn't we? Saw her Instagram.
Yeah,
she's not in Putney anymore.
Right,
where's she gone?
And she pulled out of Berlin, I think it was. I just thought, is that a bad sign? And is that a sign of maybe she's not going to play Wimbledon? She confirmed that it wasn't the original plan. She said, she kind of said it would be mad to plan a trip back to the States in this short grass court season just for a few days. But she said she really felt like she needed it because she said the last couple of months had got to her. They'd been tough. And I think we'd seen that on the match court, and she said she just needed to get away. You know, she'd been travelling in Europe for a long time, wanted to get back home, see family, have a bit of a reset. And I think it's just a reminder that, you know, this is someone who found life on tour very difficult for a long time. And just because last year had been so great doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. And she's still going to probably have moments where life on tour is tough, but I think this time it sounded to me like she'd recognised that, and maybe in the past she wouldn't have done this trip, but she knows herself a lot better now, I think, and took that trip, and she came back and she said, I've just been feeling really great since, and has enjoyed having a practice week here at Wimbledon. She never plays the week before a slam. She likes to be here and practicing on site, and yeah, so look, maybe you can't just click your fingers and all of those issues of the last couple of months go away, but I just thought it was encouraging.
That's great to hear. We had Emma Raducanu in less sort of buoyant news into the main room shortly after Jack Draper. Couldn't have been a more different vibe for Emma Raducanu to the vibe that we were so taken by in Paris. Even after she lost that first round in Paris, there was something so different about her demeanour and the way she was talking about her game. And look, maybe it just, regardless of injury, and the injury situation does seem quite bad, but even regardless of that, maybe it just necessarily always will be a slightly more walls up Emma Raducanu here at Wimbledon, or at least for a while.
Be quite understandable, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it, you know, the walls were up. And the first question, Simon Briggs got straight into it. Are you going to play?
Okay.
And she clearly sort of had a line, you know, had words prepared. And it was, the plan is to play at the moment. Me and my team are going to do everything we can to be ready. The plan is to play. And then she also made it clear over the course of the press conference pretty much that if it weren't Wimbledon, she wouldn't be playing. She said there are certain tournaments you'll put your body on the line more for, and she said Wimbledon is one of them. And she was asked whether she's been assured by doctors that she won't be making it worse by playing, and she said no, doctors can tell me that. So it would be taking a risk to play. She said it's a lower leg niggle. Sounds like more than a niggle to me, because, you know, all players are playing with niggles all the time.
Yeah, and she said she hasn't really played a lot since Queens. And she says it's been very light since then.
And she actually said she was carrying this ahead of Queens, and it obviously worsened.
It worsened with the load. She used the word load as athletes
It's
do.
like low block, isn't it, load? Did people talk about load in the 90s, David? No.
Didn't use any of these newfangled words, honestly. I mean, to be honest, it almost sounds something like shin splints or something where you just...
I've had those.
Yeah, and then you carry on running on it and it just gets more and more painful, and it's difficult, you know, and I don't know what it is, but it must be so frustrating.
It's a bummer.
She you know, because the reports yesterday and we saw the footage that she'd practiced for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes with Kalinskaya and lost those 4 games and then stopped the practice. You know, I looked at that and thought, well, there's just absolutely no way she's playing. She did say that she'd actually been hitting for an hour before that and, you know, tried to sort of play down the severity of stopping the practice. But I think it's touch and go whether she plays, and in terms of like her prospects generally at this Wimbledon, it's hard to really look beyond, you know, the first round, to be quite honest.
And Ruzic is a good player.
Has had a good year.
Beaten her already this year, and I know a lot of people watching might not know anything about her, but she's a good player on the rise.
Her rise has happened this year, and she's won a lot of matches, and comes in probably not feeling like she's got much to lose. You know, she can play Raducanu at Wimbledon, have a swing, have a run around, and maybe get a win. You know, it's not ideal.
Matt, the Naomi Osaka press conference, sort of similar vibe ahead of this one to the Raducanu press conference, sort of braced for withdrawal news, or certainly doomful injury news, but this one was slightly more upbeat than Raducanu's.
Yes, I would say so. She said, I could be feeling better, but I could be feeling worse. Right.
Well, we
That's
could all say that.
That's me every day.
pretty much my daily state, yeah. And yeah, look, she was quite interesting about how her kind of approach has changed, you know, like I remember her talking at the French Open about, you know, how she kind of said it's not the worst thing in the world if I lose, and you know, she had that kind of perspective on her career, and she said that her approach has changed so much that like now she actually is looking at the draw. You know, she's always been one of those players, Osaka, who you daren't mention the draw in a press conference because, well, in her words, it makes her nervous. It stresses her out, knowing what's coming up. But she said actually, she's changed in a way that she's a bit more carefree in the way she's approaching it and not putting so much pressure on herself. And she does feel like now she can look at a draw and not be really, really stressed out by it. So I found that quite interesting. I don't know whether that's going to be like a sort of hugely like something she does everywhere going forward, or whether it was just sort of specific to the grass court season and this tournament and everything. So I would still be careful talking about draws around Naomi Osaka in the future, but for this specific tournament she has changed that approach, and she talked about the changes feels like she's made to her game and how she's better now at staying low on the grass, which, you know, I think is just so important on this surface. And she was clearly very buoyed by the way she was playing last week. It's just a real shame it ended the way it did. So again, I don't quite know what to make of her sort of tournament prospects really, but I was quite encouraged by the sort of place she just seemed to be in.
Elsa Giacomo, round one.
Fun. Very fun.
Just because Elsa Giacomo's on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tomorrow, actually. There were quite a lot of players that did press today that are playing tomorrow. Bianca Andreescu as well.
Yes, because Mukova sort of gave a bit of a burn in the trophy ceremony that they had, saying, you know, Osaka's just retired from the match, and Mukova's like, and we've both got to come back on Monday. kind of like, you know, I don't think she was putting the pressure on, but yeah, it was quite an amusing comment from Mukova.
And Mukova came to press today, but you had a chat with her coach today.
Yes, Matt and I were doing a little bit of a tour of the grounds here. Matt was showing me the best route to all the press seating, where we were allowed to sit and watch the matches. And got me so pumped for tomorrow. But anyway, when we were on our way out of the media centre, we ran into Sven Grunewald,
we door stopped him.
Yeah, who's
my first ever doorstop.
Matt was doorstop adjacent.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's first time I've seen him in a long time. But I mean, you know, I remember I knew him way back in the late 90s when he was coaching Greg Rosetsky, and I was on the ATP tour, and he's coached so many people since then, Maria Sharapova, and several others, Bianca Andreescu for a while. And I was sort of curious, you know, about why she just hasn't had these results on grass recently, and what his general approach with her as a coach and player was. And he said that a lot of it is just sort of structure, you know, building a structure for her. So, you know, it's exciting to think that somebody who we've thought should be a great grass court player, given her skill set, has a chance now coming in here off a title. I think he's a really good coach, really smart coach. And he said, you know, it's nice for me to have a player like this towards the end of my career. You know, he's had a lot of different types of players that he's worked with, Sven Grunewald, and you know, Karolina Mukova's got limitless ability.
She plays on tomorrow. Another one that plays tomorrow is Zakharova, who's having a good season. And Mukova, as we've much discussed, lost 4 round ones at Wimbledon in a row. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Okay, I think that's it finally for 2-day media day. We've still got the order of play for tomorrow to go through, but first we're going to be welcoming a special guest for part 2 of today's show. And just before we do that, a quick word from our sponsors for this show and every show throughout this Wimbledon fortnight. The official banking partner of Wimbledon Barclays, who are helping to open up opportunities beyond the court through their support of the Wimbledon Foundation, who are the official charity of the championships. They're backing programs like Set for Success that are changing lives. Set for Success is delivered with the Youth Sport Trust, and the program is all about giving young people from underserved communities mentoring from inspirational athletes. It's all about helping them build confidence, leadership skills, and achieve their potential. It started in 15 schools and is now expanding to 150, reaching nearly 4,000 young people and giving them the tools to shape their future. So it's a really cool initiative and one of many that Barclays are doing. Search home.barclays/Wimbledon to find out more. Right, it is time for part 2, the time of the show, the time of the year that we invite Wimbledon Tournament Director Jamie Baker onto the show. Jamie, I know how busy it is for you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
No, thanks for having me up. I love coming up here. Such a good spot. It's nice temperature this evening as well, isn't it?
Yes. You read my mind, Jamie. I'd like to explain the drinks. We were
Please.
led
Please
astray.
Please do.
We don't do this every night.
They look good.
We were led astray by official Wimbledon staff. I will have you know, they're the signature cocktail, and they have the Catherine Whitaker seal of approval. If that matters at all. Your time is valuable. Let's get straight into it.
Please.
I'm going to start with the protest. I don't think
Start with the light topics.
Start with the light
Great,
stuff. Yeah,
love it.
I've done
Easy
cocktails. We've done cocktails, Jamie. I'll ask you what you think the bear should be called at the end. Yeah, protest. I don't know if protest is the right word, but let's call it protest. So, the Wimbledon prize money was announced just over 2 weeks ago. 20% increase, the biggest year-on-year increase in Wimbledon prize money. It represents 14.4% of tournament revenue, which is 1.6% short of what this group of top players have been asking for. Their current target is 16%. At the time of that announcement, just a couple of weeks ago, the players group, led by Larry Scott, described that as a genuine and significant step forward and a meaningful statement of intent. Given that, were you shocked to hear that they were planning to not only resume their protest here, but to escalate it? Because we were.
Yes, yes, definitely. Look, disappointed, obviously, as well. I mean, I think we've been very active, obviously, talking to Larry, working with Larry, who's working on behalf of these players. And this has been going on for a while, but maybe it's best if I just kind of frame it since our last face-to-face meeting in Roland Garros. But there's been a lot of conversation in between times. You know, there's 3 things that they're wanting to discuss. It's kind of player voice and governance at a Grand Slam. It's pension and welfare contributions, and then it's prize money. We feel like we have made really big steps forward, not just in the conversations, but actually in what we've been willing to commit to. We've been saying for 8 months and really upping our commitment to this, and if you like, not pressure, but just reiterating, we will do a player council tomorrow. Like we have said that we are more than happy to do that. Unfortunately, that has been rejected. We want to do that because we think it would actually make the event better. I want to hear their views at the right time. We want to help shape this event. We employ kind of executives. We would like a few tracksuits as well, just to balance that out. It really helps. On the pension and welfare, we've said with the same thing. That'll be you have said. You want to discuss that. That's the first thing on the agenda for this forum. What we don't feel comfortable doing is, because we're talking about such large sums of money now, we don't feel comfortable making a decision on our own that we're going to allocate X% of somebody's income to some sort of deferred compensation scheme. The income bracket of the even the top 100 tennis players now is very broad. So if we did that, it's basically guaranteed that we would get a significant cohort of players saying, hang on, we didn't want that, what are you doing? So it needs to really be shaped by the players with us, and we're completely up for that. So we feel like we've responded basically with what has been asked of us on the first 2, and on the last one on prize money, which is obviously the more detailed and the more complicated one. We just, as you know, we have a real problem with being obsessed by prize money being pinned against this revenue metric, and we've explained in the discussions as to why that is. But fundamentally, we are committed to, always have been, and probably even more so now, that the players share in the success of the championships. That is what we see our future being, and we want that through prize money, and we want that through the investment that we make in our facilities. And we know that we are not going to solve the issues of the lack of transparency in the tour numbers in the next 3 weeks. We're not going to solve that, and we're not going to get to a place where everybody's happy with how we work out prize money, say, in the next 10 years, in the next 3 weeks. However, we've done the first two things, and we were showing you that we have put a really big percentage of our anticipated revenue growth into prize money right now without knowing the outcome of these discussions. And so on that basis, we feel like the spirit of the request and the dialogue has been really, really heavily addressed in a really positive way. And so that was the basis of why we were really surprised on the action that was decided.
I know it is something you have explained before, but could you just explain again for our listeners and viewers why, in your view, the pinning the amounts to revenue, expressing it as a percentage of revenue and setting that as the parameters for the target, why that doesn't feel right or appropriate for this model? Because we're constantly hearing about the comparison to US sports, US team sports, where it is expressed in terms of revenue. What's so different?
Well, revenue takes in money coming in only, and it doesn't take any account of costs or investments. So that's fundamentally the issue. So look around at this place. It costs a lot of money to stage the championships on an annual basis. But I would put two brackets in the cost. It costs a lot of money to stage a tournament, but it also costs a lot of money to invest in the brand. And that's the thing that's driving lots of the value for everybody, including the players. So our business model is actually, it's, I would say, the most transparent in the sport. I'm happy to explain why I think that. But it's also one of the most, if not the most successful, and it's really simple. We spend money and invest in the championships. That allows us to do two things: invest hugely in players through prize money, and invest hugely in British and international tennis. We do not exist to deliver a return for anybody else. There is every single penny that comes into this organization is spent in tennis. So I understand that there's other businesses out there that are more commercial and do exist to generate a return. That's normal. I'm not saying that's wrong in any way, shape or form. I'm just saying that that's not how Wimbledon works. And it doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's just that's not how it works. And sure, we want to have the discussion about how our business can get better and how it can grow and how it can do better. But the current model right now generates on average 10 times as much revenue as a Masters 1000 and distributes 4 to 5 times as much prize money. So yes, it's not perfect, but it does work quite well, and it is delivering value for everybody, not least the players.
I'm just interested on the point of, the players have asked for sort of, I think the word you used was sort of governance, a voice, a seat at the table, and you've offered a player council. Have they explained why they've rejected that offer?
Look, I think that was because they wanted some sort of. You'd have to speak to them, but our interpretation is that they wanted some sort of clarity and commitment on money before getting into that.
Okay.
Would it be fair to say that the 20% that you've increased it to has come about as a result of their action and their conversations from a year and a half ago? Would it be fair to say that you wouldn't be in that ballpark probably without it?
I don't think it's as binary as that. Look, there's a lot of things going on in tennis right now, and we don't determine prize money by, even internally by a particular formula. We don't this year we don't actually know what our revenue is going to be yet. We have a good idea, but we haven't run the tournament. There are some variable things.
People could buy a lot of strawberries and cream this year.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say we have no idea. Of course we do, but the point is, whatever figure anybody's talking about, it actually at this point is a forecast or it's a projection. It's not fact. But what is fact is the way that we go about our decision making is we want the players to share in the success. We don't exist for any other reason. Like that is what we want. But we're not going to we are absolutely committed to want to have the best partnership possible with the players. Regardless of these discussions, we're always going to make those decisions. But it would be, I and the volunteers in the committee and the rest of my team, this is an institution that's 150 years old, and we want it to be around for another 1,000. It would be irresponsible for us to effectively abandon our business model that's been quite successful because of, and at this moment in time, it's because of a target that's been put in place, which actually is not based on any foundation. We're wanting that show us what it's based on, and then we can really move this dialogue forward, which we want to.
Do you resent that the sort of tone of conversation is so adversarial, given what you've just said about you feel that your agendas actually are aligned, and yet the protest makes it seem like it's the players against the slams?
Yeah, look, that's not good for anyone. It doesn't help anybody move forward. We are completely and utterly focused on bringing the temperature down on this, working really positively with the players. Look at where we're sitting right now. We're on the eve of Wimbledon starting. It's one of the most amazing sporting events in the world. Let's talk about how we make this show the absolute best that it possibly can be. My team exists to do exactly that. They're working all year to make this thing the absolute best it can possibly be for the players. That's what I want the conversation to be, and hopefully we can get to that place really quickly.
Could I just ask one more on the protest, because the one thing it's quite hard for us to gauge is how effective it is in terms of impacting the rights holders, which I get the impression that's who they're really trying to hurt, right? Hurting us in the written press and podcasters in the press conference room. We don't really have any power to go stomping our feet and saying we didn't get as much time with Yannick Sinner as we want. Nobody cares, relatively speaking. But ESPN and the BBC that are paying loads of money for their rights, and the access to the players comes with those rights, they do have the power to stomp their feet and for that to be heard. Are they stomping their feet? Is it having the desired effect in that way? I realise there's probably stuff you can't say, but it's very hard for us to get a sense of that.
Look, I don't know, because I haven't spoken to everybody, and I think, look, these are also people who are operating kind of at a certain level in the sport, and they get the big picture as well. So they're completely focused also on getting the temperature down, focusing on the championships, and so I think they will actually. Everybody has a responsibility here as well to kind of do that, and I think they would be in the same boat.
Okay, should we talk wildcards?
Please, another light one.
Well, I feel like I should leave this to these two, because my position is I don't believe in wildcards at all.
Interesting. I've heard a few people say that.
I just think they're anti-competitive.
Merit-based sport, all that.
Yeah, I mean, the Serena situation is a real test for my position, because obviously I'm going to be there with bells on watching that. But I've got my position. I've backed myself into a corner, and this is where I am.
I'm fascinated to know who decides the wild cards here. Obviously, British tennis, the LTA, have an impact and a voice, and they've put, I think, 6 on the men's side were British players, and 2 were Stan Wawrinka and Grigor Dimitrov, and then there was Dan Evans, who didn't get one. I'm curious, who made that decision not to give Dan Evans a wild card, and who makes the decisions to give the others?
So actually, it's an easy answer to that question. So the decision makers for what we have a wildcard committee, right, which is effectively a subcommittee of the to be technical, the committee of management of the championships involves all England board members, LTA board members. So we have a wildcard committee. The way so two important parts of the process. The wildcard committee, and this hasn't changed for quite a while. We have a criteria, which is effectively guidelines. It's not set in stone, but it's guidelines. And the way the process works is the LTA will put forward, the LTA performance team will put forward nominations for players to us. And we will obviously gather all wildcard applications, British players and overseas players, and that committee makes a decision based on the criteria and the guidelines.
And in terms of the non-British ones, your Stan Wawrinkas say, is that just an entirely subjective process? Like, because I'm sure Gael Monfils applied, for example. We've got a lot of retiring players that are asking for wildcards at the moment. People in that sort of category. Well, like, how are those decisions arrived at?
So the committee, as one of the guidelines, there's very much a nod to Grand Slam champions. That is, it doesn't mean that every single person in that position is automatically going to get one, but there is definitely, there is something that we have that we continually consider is what is their Grand Slam record in terms of titles.
Another dagger to the heart for Gael Monfils.
Unfortunately.
He only needs one.
And the other, one of the other ones is kind of support of form's the right word because it's more over long term, but just grass court tennis. Somebody who's done well and supported grass court tennis for a long time, and I think Grigor probably would be going into that category. But the ultimate aim really is for us within the criteria to get to make the best decisions for the event. That is what we're, and again there is no perfect answer, but that's the lens in which the group of people are looking at it. And from a British perspective at the moment, certainly on the men's side, it's actually this has not always been the case since I've been working here, but right now there is a really strong crop of players, which is you could make a strong argument for more players than actually got the wildcards this year, and that's a great place to be.
I'm kind of curious, maybe with your former player hat on rather than your tournament director hat on, like in terms of like trying to help British tennis and help players, is there an argument that actually there's something that David's been talking about, that actually like it might be more useful for your career to not be in the main draw and not get given that privilege year after year, but actually get a qualifying wildcard and like sort of improve that way? Like I'm kind of curious from your perspective as a former player, like did you find it maybe more helpful to be sometimes sort of grinding your way through the lower levels?
You got to make it through though for that to work. You got to make it through.
It's a high stakes gamble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right on the money there, and that's primarily this is the expertise of the LTA performance team that know these players like the back of their hand in their development journey, and they're weighing all that up. Look, just for me, I got 5 wildcards into the main draw here, and every single time I got one, every single time my thought was, I wish I could have qualified and got in. That I would have preferred that to be the case. So for a whole host of reasons, just feeling like it wasn't a gift, feeling like I'd really earned my place by right, feeling like I was sharp. I got 3 matches under my belt. So I think there is a performance part to that, definitely, but I didn't manage to do that. It wasn't good enough.
It's tough out there in Roehampton.
But I remember did you qualify in Australia once?
A couple of times.
And this is what I'm getting at, is I just feel that maybe that might be good for British tennis, not to be handing these wildcards. I mean, isn't there an argument of Wimbledon just saying, I tell you what, we'll just look after the wildcards. You guys prepare your players.
Yeah, there could be. I mean, obviously, the federations of the Grand Slam nations and the other big tournaments in the world, performance teams obviously would all argue heavily against that. They would put all sorts of data together that says, look, these opportunities are an amazing springboard for these players when you look at it, not in isolation of that event, but in the long term over their careers, player development, and that's what they're looking at. But it's not. I don't think this, the reason why this is a discussion is because actually it is an interesting point, and people do have different views on it.
Last tough topic.
Yes.
The topic that everyone associated with Wimbledon loves so much, the Wimbledon Park development.
Oh, yay.
2 years ago that we first talked to you about it here.
What's the latest?
The latest is we have never been more convinced in the benefits of the plans for everybody. I'm sure you and your listeners don't want me to repeat every single aspect of it, but the plans are really exciting. Without going into every single one, and look, actually it's so detailed that I wouldn't even know every aspect of this, because we have a whole team looking at this and it's become very legal, obviously, but we're essentially working our way through the process of 3 different legal processes, you would call it, and we obviously fully respect the planning and legal process in the country. It's taking a lot of time, and we can't really do anything other than every day dust ourselves off and remember that the benefits that will come from doing this, which I'm convinced will happen, will be amazing for every single stakeholder involved, not least the people who live around here, who are going to have a new public park that they never had access to. I mean, that's going to be, we know that from speaking to thousands and thousands of the residents, that they can't wait for that to be the case.
What's the best case scenario timeline at the moment? I know it's how long is a piece of string, but in an ideal world.
Look, I think if you just took okay, what's the best case scenario from getting from where we are now to potentially starting the project? Look, I think it's too long, but we can't be saying that it's, if it went well, we can't be saying that it's definitely going to be only months and not years. Like it's unfortunately, there's still some pretty significant things that are going to take some time.
Next hearing is October, is that right?
I mean, there's a couple, but you might know more than me on the dates. To be honest, I'm focused on the tennis. I'm like, come on, let's get this tournament started.
I'm on Fleur Anderson's mailing list, so I might do. I won't bore everybody with that.
Just very quickly on a slightly lighter note. What is it, a week ago when you found out that Serena Williams was going to take your wild card that you've been holding for her? How close to the deadline was she?
She still had a little bit. I was trying to get to a place where she made the decision before it impacted the rest of the draw when qualifying started. So normally we would have decided all the wild cards before that, but obviously, I mean, it's unbelievably exciting. So I wanted to give her as much time as possible. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it what's the most anticipated moment on the first 2 days of the championships, do you think?
Oh, it's Serena.
It's Serena.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I think particularly the first match, assuming if she manages to win and play more, I think it's still incredibly interesting. But I mean, to not have seen her play for 4 years and to have heard her say today that when she stops, she didn't expect to be back. So, and then we had, I mean, it was a week ago that we were all speculating. Do we think she's going to try and play singles or not? And I changed my mind twice in 10 minutes because it seemed so up in the air. What was that call like to receive that she was?
Well, obviously I was kind of this was for quite some time the subject of daily discussions for me and daily updates. So when it happened, I obviously wasn't massively surprised from when the first conversation started. Look, the thing actually, I mean, it's all speculation, but I'm really excited that she's really decided to go for it. And that moment, as you've said, we haven't seen her play since, say, 4 or 5 years. That she's chosen Wimbledon. And the US Open's only a few weeks away, which has given her a bit more time. And to me, I like that.
Yeah, and I was thinking today actually, like she did have an amazing send-off at the US Open. There was kind of some closure there. Like I do feel like maybe she's missing that a little bit at Wimbledon. Like the way it ended here probably wasn't how she wanted, and now she's come back and she's been the story. She is the star, and I think it's I think that might be part of it, of why Wimbledon is part of the comeback here as well.
I don't know how much of, I haven't spoken to her about this, I don't know how much of this is behind the motivation, but for me, having young kids, and tennis is our life. I work in tennis. It was my life from a very young age. They've never seen me play. Like, the idea of them watching me compete in my profession would be like the best thing ever. So I can only imagine what somebody like her, who's, you know, one of the greatest athletes of all time, to then her kids tomorrow are going to, it's Tuesday, are going to see this. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. There's a real premium on your kids thinking you're cool, right, David?
Yeah, I've gone 16 years so far without achieving it, but you know, there's still time, isn't there?
It's the Serena comeback is going to take some topping for the 150th
I know.
anniversary. And Federer comeback?
I know. Let's see. We'll see if we can stir a few people.
Just finally, Jamie, we need a name for this bear. I'm trying to end on something light because we've hit Jamie.
I
think
you asked me that 2 years ago, and I just came up with absolutely nothing.
2 years ago we called him Jude because the Euros were on.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we were thinking of a football name, but then one of our colleagues came up with Ted Perry,
Not
and
bad.
it's tough to not
Well,
a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Yeah,
What about Bonnie? Little Scottish name.
it's not a tennis name though, is
No,
it?
it's just random
just
Scottish.
Maybe there's a Bonnie on our horizon from
Maybe.
Scotland who's going to take the world by storm.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
A left field suggestion. I don't mind it. Jamie, what a note to end on. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Okay.
Have a
thank
great
you.
fortnight.
Thank you.
Yeah, wishing you the best. We still have the order of play, our first 2026 Wimbledon order of play to talk about for Monday. It all starts at 11 a.m. on the outside courts, 1:30 on centre court, 1 p.m. on court number 1. Let's start with centre court. Opening the play, of course, will be men's defending champion Jannik Sinner, the top seed, the dominant favourite for the title. I am very aware saying that is something we said a lot in Paris. Things can happen, folks.
But we've also said it a lot, and he's ended up
Exactly.
being the dominant
I'm
top
going to
seed.
keep saying it. He takes on Mirmir Kecmanovic in the first match tomorrow. That is followed by Arina Sabalenka against Teodora Kostovic. And then finally on centre court tomorrow is Wu Yibing, the Chinese player, taking on Novak Djokovic. Number 1 court tomorrow opens with Emma Raducanu against Antonia Ruzic. I suspect Daniil Medvedev and Marin Cilic will be poised and ready for a potential retirement there, realistically.
So will I, because I'm commentating on Medvedev Cilic.
David is commentating for BBC Radio on Medvedev Cilic with Dan Evans, folks.
Don't you say? Yeah.
I feel like you're being sort of potentially involuntarily put in a double act there.
I've gone from tall persons correspondent to Brummie correspondent.
Yeah. I'm very surprised I haven't got you on Felix Gill. Isn't he from your neck
He's
of the
from
woods?
Redditch, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
there
met
you
him
go.
yet, though. But,
Magdalene, I thought it was one of those things where all sort of Birmingham tennis people knew one another.
well, maybe he knows of me.
I'm sure Dan knows him.
Very Serena of you.
Yeah. Third on court 1 tomorrow, number 1 court, Magdalenette against Mira Andreeva.
Yeah, I must say, I do think that's...
Tricky.
Yeah, and like a good lineup generally on number 1 court. Like, okay, there's obviously great uncertainty about Raducanu. Like, that could be a blow for ticket holders. We don't know, but I think everyone's braced. But then you've got 2 really interesting first round matches there. Cilic, Medvedev, and Medvedev mentioned in press the other day, didn't he, that they've played before at Wimbledon, and Cilic was 2 sets to love up, and you know that's a tricky match for a guy who's not had a great Grand Slam record in recent months. And then, speaking of tricky, Magdalenette is tricky, certified. And Andreeva lost her only match since winning the French Open. So, you know, like I think I'm pleased that there's a lot there for the number 1 court ticket holders.
Number 2 court tomorrow opens with Jessica Pegula. Matt's pick for the final.
Yes. Actually, no, I think if she gets to the final, I think she might be my pick for the title.
Matt's pick for the title, Jessica Pegula.
Like, just don't be out before breakfast, Jessica.
She takes on Daria Vidmanova, a Czech player. I think she's
Yes.
Czech.
She is.
If it's not clear from how I'm saying that, I don't know a whole lot about her. But I think Matt's going to head out to number 2 court to take a look at his pick for the title.
I'm not actually.
Oh,
I'm going to go
no.
somewhere else.
Well, you gave me misleading information earlier then.
No, I don't think I did.
we'll talk about this later. Second on
Bit awkward.
second on number 2 court
Matthew will
tomorrow.
back me up.
He said Pegula, right? He certainly mentioned Pegula.
Matthew wasn't listening.
No, he didn't.
Thank you very much. That was for the tape. That was Matthew saying no, he didn't.
Michael Zheng against Cam Norrie is second on number 2 court tomorrow. Then Felix Auger-Aliassime with his shaved head, the number 3 seed. He's up against Alexander Shevchenko. And
He walked by me on the stairway earlier with his shaved head. And
it's good, I think.
He nodded. He probably remembers me from Tennis Podcast Meets, which helped him reach the US Open semi-final. And I just thought, yeah, he looks the business.
Yeah, suits him. Tamara Korpach against Coco Gauff, finally on number 2 court tomorrow. Sort of sunset match for Gauff against another awkward opponent. Like, is that anything?
I think Goff has lost, 4 or 5 matches in a row on grass. Like she desperately needs to win on this surface. Korpach, she's awkward. I do expect Goff to win. Court 2's not really a graveyard of champions anymore, is it? That's the old Court 2. David's
Spirit's still there.
Okay, I think there's some ghosts. The demons still lurking.
I think Goff's going to be all right.
Yeah, I do as well.
Hodar against the aforementioned Felix Gill from Redditch is first up on number 3 court. Then Casper Ruud against Hubert Hurkacz. Big upset watch there, I think, for the 11th seed. Not on the bingo card was Casper Ruud not attending the Bad Bunny concert, Bad Bunny concert last night, but Novak Djokovic making a cameo in the Bad Bunny concert last night. Have you seen this, David?
No.
He was on the big screen, he had a mic.
I actually haven't plucked up the courage to listen to it with sound on, because I'm not sure I want to hear Novak Djokovic potentially singing but good on him.
I think I might check it out.
Glad he's having fun. Third on number 3 court tomorrow. Good order of play on number 3 court, which is not ticketed, so free for all. I suspect you have to get in there early. But
Court 3, some of it was ticketed, you were telling me earlier. Is
Yes,
that right?
Yeah, it's
A little
about half
bit.
and half, but there's a lot
Okay.
of unreserved. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Elsa Giacomo against Naomi Osaka, third on, and Barbora Krejcikova. I hope she's not listening. You play Hannah Klugman, Barbora. She doesn't like to know who she plays until the day of, ideally. Court 12 tomorrow opens with Maja Velinska. That is where you said you were going to go.
That
But I'm
is where
sure
I'm gonna go.
you floated Pegula's name before you decided on Velinska.
No, one he was going to watch first, the other one's going to win the title.
Yeah.
That's where we were, I think.
Court 12, second on tomorrow, Oliver Tarvit against Artur
Target time,
Rinderknecht.
I'll be there.
Karolina Mukova against Anastasia Zakharova is third on, and then Brandon Nakashima taking on Jack Pennington-Jones. Belinda Bencic up against the Brit Mika Stojsavljevic, first on 18. Tommy Paul is second on. Joao Fonseca against Roberto Bautista Agut is third on. That's got to be an upset watch, I think.
Yes, I think so. I mean, Bautista Agut in his final year is a good grass quarter. Has been to the semis here at Wimbledon, and yeah, it's an interesting choice, court 18 for that one. Like, it's not the biggest court. I would say normally it's not sort of big enough for Fonseca, but actually I think it's quite an interesting choice. You can get people coming up here on the roof and watching it over the sides.
Vibes.
You can create a real atmosphere
Good
on
for
18,
vibes.
and I think it's. I sort of saw it and I thought, I don't know if that's going to work for Fonseca. Then I thought about it and I thought, actually, that could be brilliant.
Leylah Fernandez against Janice Chen is last on 18 tomorrow. I do love a 2-day round one.
it's great,
A hard
isn't it?
launch on the Monday.
Yeah.
I know where I am with this order of play. I really like it.
And it's really helpful this year that it's the top half in
Yes.
both the men's and women's draw
Absolutely.
on the opening day.
It's really helping with my bandwidth issues. Marco Trungelliti, David, is first on court 5. David's got a nickname for him that he's going to try and make happen if Trungelliti can make himself relevant enough.
Yep.
So
I'll hold it back
he's
until
got
then.
quite a lot riding on Marco.
I'm quite enjoying how the order of play is saying Martin Dam rather than Martin Dam Jr.
Yeah.
His dad's gonna.
He's doing a
himself
Serena.
down.
no one's talking about
Yeah,
him.
He's
he's had
well
his thunder stolen by Serena Bloomin'
Well
Williams.
into his 50s. He's up for it.
Martin Lander-Luthe is on court 5 tomorrow. Alexandra Olnikova and Diana Stremska against Aoi Ito.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's fun. And I suspect that's where you'll see Pam Shriver courtside tomorrow, if you fancy a bit of Pam spotting. Bianca Andreescu is second on court 6 tomorrow. And the other match that I wanted to pick out from the order of play is Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's here somewhere. I'm sure he plays
Court
tomorrow.
16.
Court 16.
He's here somewhere tells the story, doesn't he?
Yeah, quite a lot of scrolling there. He's second on court 16 against Hugo Gaston. And the reason I wanted to mention Stefanos Tsitsipas is because we had the news a couple of hours ago, broken by Vicky Georgitou in Sports DNA, the Greek publication, that Stefanos Tsitsipas has divorced professionally from his father Apostolos, he says for good this time. The quotes, these are through Google Translate, so just bear that in mind. But the quotes say, the older I get, the more difficult it is for me to maintain a stable relationship with my father compared to when I was a kid, 18, 19, 20 years old. I believe that my father needs other things, just as I need other things. I felt it in the daily energy of our collaboration. I feel that we have reached a point where I'm now looking for something completely different. I've been feeling lately that having my father by my side brings me comfort, but is not the solution for me to take the next steps and do something different in my career. Of course, I love him very much and want the best for him, but right now I'm thinking about myself and what is best for me. Hope it sticks.
Yeah, and wish him well, really. It's hard to believe, really, when you think of the age he is and the way he used to be ahead of Zverev, say, and he used to beat him all the time. And now Zverev's a Grand Slam champion and 3 in the world, and Tsitsipas is just nowhere. Yeah. It's really sad. And I hope he can find somebody that will work for him.
Absolutely. I think he's working, at least in the interim, with somebody from the Mouratoglou Academy that he's always had close ties with, so he's got somebody. But yeah, I agree. I wish him well. Folks, that is it for preview content. There is nothing more except to get going, which I am excited for, but I also just love this period of
living in the anticipation.
Yeah, I love it so
Especially
much.
When it's so quiet. When Matt took me this walk around, I was like a kid.
And that was David's second tour of the day. David had led a tour himself.
And then Matt showed me places I'd never been to. It's awesome.
This is, it's Christmas Eve, isn't it?
But it is great when the gates open and number one in the queue comes in, and
ladies and gentlemen, that's all to come tomorrow. All with Phoebe, our wonderful mascot. This is a particularly special photo of Phoebe, who looks like she's smiling in her sleep, which is very relatable stuff. It says, what have we got here? Phoebe is dreaming of how good day one is going to be. Very appropriate. Phoebe gets it. Hello to our mascots. Hello, Bodie. Hello, Maisie. And hello, Roger. Hello to our top folks and executive producers, Greg, Chris and Jeff. Matt, let's have some Wimbledon Eve shout-outs.
We have Amy Graham from Vancouver, Washington, USA.
Hi, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
And Amy says, this is also a shout-out for my partner, Avi. He might not be into tennis as much as I am, but he's always supportive of my tennis obsession. And we always have the tennis podcast on during our road trips with our Australian cattle dog, Ray.
I love hang on. Is an Australian cattle
You'll be
dog
shocked to know.
Is an Australian cattle dog the same as an Australian shepherd? I think it is.
I love that you're asking Matt.
Yes.
But an Australian shepherd is one of my absolute faves. Jessica Pegula's dog is one of those, a miniature Australian shepherd, I believe, and one of my favourite tennis dogs. So I hope they are the same, but if they're not, I do also love Australian cattle dogs, I'm sure.
One of these days she's going to turn to you and say, oh, I don't really like those sort of dogs. They're a bit duffers, aren't they?
Yeah, duffers.
No, she
never.
Catherine would never use that language.
No,
dog.
never. You'd be able to see it in my eyes. Though.
Amy like Amy Frazier.
Very good,
Very
David.
good. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Amy.
And Amy and Avi just have Wimbledon left on their Fan Slam journey.
Come, Amy. Look at it. It's amazing.
Yeah, we'll see you here one day, Amy and Avi.
And finally, we have Colin Davies from South Shropshire.
Oh,
Right, Colin.
where I was born. Well,
Yeah.
in Shropshire.
Shrewsbury?
Both. I say Shrewsbury, but apparently both are goers.
Right.
Yes, and Colin says, I've loved tennis since I saw Stan Smith beat Ilie Nastase in the Wimbledon final of 1972. I wanted Nastase to win, Colin says. I only discovered your podcast last year. Tell David I lived in Solihull for 25 years.
Good lad, Cole.
And don't tell Matt I'm a lifelong supporter of the other club in Fulham. Don't know what Colin's talking about.
Which club's
There's
that?
only one team in
Is
Fulham.
that Brentford?
Chelsea.
It's Chelsea.
Oh.
He just choked on his own laughter.
Just the mention of Chelsea.
Colin like Colin Fleming,
Yes.
Very good.
contemporary of Jamie Baker.
Yeah.
You could have come up with Colin, couldn't
We
you?
did.
And you came up with Bonnie.
Well, David, you've led me perfectly to our final bit of business for the show.
All right.
I think we've got to name this thing. We've got to make it official.
Ted Perry, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, originally I was keen on the football theme, but I do think Ted Perry is so good.
And we weren't very good last night, let's be honest.
I'm not having that. That's not... You've turned me off now. You're making me want to make an argument out of it.
Big surprise.
If we do go with Ted Perry, it is not a reflection of our views of the England football team.
Sure.
Those are the conditions on which I will agree.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I just think I love that Vicky came up with it
Yeah,
as well.
I just think Ted Perry is hard to ignore as a stroke of genius, isn't it?
We had our photos taken with the Fred Perry statue
We did.
today, didn't we?
On our tour.
Yeah.
That'll be on our Instagram if you want to
So
give us a follow.
That's a sign, isn't it?
Okay, everyone all right with Ted Perry?
Yep.
You all right with Ted
Matthew?
Perry, Matthew?
Yeah. Cool.
It's not enthusiastic. Not as
Sounds like-
enthusiastically as you
What's the matter with everybody? It's a
gaslit
great
me
name.
about
Yeah, I
Jessica
think it's
Pegula.
brilliant.
Yeah. I think I was expecting a bit more. Jamie's reaction has taken me aback a bit.
I know. Great interview, Jamie. But
Yeah. I thought he'd go,
Come
oh,
on."
yeah. That's
yeah, it's a
Anyway.
slam dunk.
Yeah, one of Wimbledon's legends, and he was like, fine.
Yeah, Bonnie. Bonnie's out. Jamie, sorry about that. It's Ted Perry. We and Ted, folks, will be back tomorrow. This is how it works throughout the Wimbledon fortnight. We are here at the end of play on the show courts. We said a not before 9 p.m. time, so you know that it'll never be before 9 p.m. But from 9 p.m. onwards, be alert for signs that we're going live. We make it as easy to find out as possible. We put it on our Instagram as soon as we have our time. We send out an alert to all our newsletter subscribers that is free to subscribe to. The link to do that is in our show notes and in our YouTube notes. What else do we do, David?
We do tennis podcast meets, is what we do.
I'm still doing the promo
Oh,
just
okay.
now.
Right?
Just hold your horses.
That's another
there.
promo.
We tell friends directly.
We tell friends directly.
and friends get tennis podcast
yeah.
meets.
No, there was one more thing. Hit that like and subscribe button
Yeah.
on YouTube, and you can get alerts for when we're going live.
Yeah, can you? I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
you can get
that's good.
notified
Yes,
when we're
very
going
good,
live.
yeah.
That's the best
Oh,
thing to do,
I'll
folks,
do
if
that.
you want to join us live on YouTube.
I have those on for our own channel, just in case we accidentally go live when
Yeah.
we're doing a test.
Which
I
And we
do
can-
appreciate.
Which we have done, and so we can
Several
shut
times.
that down as
Yeah.
quickly as possible.
Yeah. If you can't wait till then, David has something to tell you about.
Yeah, there's this thing called Tennis Podcast Meets where I loiter about in the press area and pop into little interview rooms and have conversations with all sorts of tennis players. I think we spoke to seven
Yes.
players, 6 of them
Six
me,
those were
and one of
David.
them you two together. You double teamed, but it was
It's a
worth it.
tradition now.
Yes, yeah, and actually, look, these are. Even if I do say so myself, I think there's some great conversations there
Yeah.
that you learn some stuff about players that maybe you wouldn't know, and you get to know them. The idea is for you to get to know them in a sort of slightly more relaxed setting. And I also asked Corentin Moutet about the 7 F words that he said in his Queen's interview and his reaction to the reaction.
And no one else was there to ask him. I thought
No.
that there might be quite a lot of Brits in that
Yeah.
press conference. I know there's a lot of other stories kicking about, but David's got the exclusive on that. So that is up now for Friends of the Tennis Podcast. If you'd like to become a friend of the pod, then the link is in our show notes. Folks, that is it for our final preview of Wimbledon 2026. We will be back tomorrow, not before 9 p.m, at the end of play on the show courts. We are part of the Athletic Podcast Network. We are here for the next 14 days of Wimbledon live from this incredible position overlooking the grounds. Thank you for listening. We'll speak to you tomorrow.